I'll show you.
You take direction too, but okay.
Alright, I'm gonna close this. We're gonna have a full view of the bar from 2 cameras. This point forward is just guests. So,
Oh, that's cool. So you have this gentleman. What's his name?
Ryan
Rapaski.
Rapaski.
Ryan Rapaski.
And he's a filmmaker as well.
Of sorts.
Of sorts.
He runs the studio.
Oh, okay.
We use him all the time. We kind of like we partnered up a while back.
Well, that's good. Where's the studio at?
Canoga Park.
Oh, okay.
That's the best place.
Hey, shake it, shake it, shit. I'm not a problem.
Trying to see as much of the bar
Okay.
as possible.
You scared
But
me.
you were very right. I mean, really, that's what he's talking about. He's moving every piece of the world.
That same glass. Not cool.
What is in that glass?
Nothing. That's the problem. I keep picking up that glass and there's nothing in it. Jack, what else is happening?
Now it's just the party.
What's on
From
the
here on,
Really? This is the party?
This is it.
Yeah, really well.
Wow.
It'll get better. There's more coming. There's many coming, in fact. I feel on my back.
Holla, holla.
Hala, hala. Who gave me these? Hold on until I figure it out.
Are they mine?
Yeah, you probably gave me.
He had like a television transmission going on the whole time.
Now we can see everything.
Jacques,
We can see you guys. What?
there was like a little TV sound going on in the background.
What was that? Yeah, that was something like.
You guys aren't dancing! Okay.
This way. This one. Where does the cutoff point? Should go more.
Without sound, we don't have music or anything.
There it is. There it is. That's the cutoff. Right there. You can see it. Yeah.
Where's the dance ball?
Where's
Oh,
where's the line?
Wait, look at how cool that is.
Yeah,
I
I
can
can see
punch
her
into the other
now.
screen.
There you go.
Wait, get back to it. There. 1, 2, 3.
I'm trying to create a 360
wait, no,
degree
wait, okay, one more time.
situation.
1, 2, 3.
You move from that screen to. Oh, it takes a little second to get.
Takes a little lag time there,
Yeah, there's
huh?
lag time.
A little bit of lag time.
Oh, no, it's not that much.
Eh, Johnny wanna be a lag time.
Hi.
No, there's no lag time. It's perfect. Let's see. Live from screen to screen. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. From now on, we're just going to run it as people show up. There's a small handful of people still coming. And it will
Gaggle
be
of geese.
part,
Hey, my friend just said, "Oh, your friend Jacques did Revenant."
The Revenant.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you like The
He
Revenant?
said it was really good.
The He?
It's a he. What was that movie?
It was my friend Carrie wrote and directed it. And
A zombie
He
picture.
did everything. I
Oh, it was a zombie
yeah.
picture.
A zombie
That's
picture.
Right.
Good
That
one.
makes sense.
My
Okay,
man.
everybody. There it is. That's Ryan Rapaski at the bar.
That is.
Hi, Ryan.
What's up? So Ryan Rapaski, we're gonna do this as a
Heard of
group.
him.
We're gonna do this as a group situation.
I love group situations.
Isn't
Terrific.
that apropos?
And Ryan Rapaski is a filmmaker.
Well, not anymore.
Hey,
Well,
hey.
We'll always be. Maybe again
Once you
someday.
made
Yeah.
something, you're officially a maker of that something.
But the thing is, Ryan,
Yes.
you run a production studio, so you can't be more of a filmmaker. I mean, you are facilitating productions.
Yes.
And you've done just about everything in the whole filmmaking universe.
I am.
And you're involved with Connection.
Yep.
And so you're making shit happen. So there you go.
Fine.
But you're also a participant of the open lifestyle situation, and you're open about being open.
Well, I mean, growing up, I was always told that I played well with others, so it just kind of carried through to my adult life. So.
Say what again?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's good practice to keep going.
Yeah.
Wait.
What's going on?
Veronica.
Is that on speaker?
Got a little.
That's Ryan.
Veronica. Hi, Veronica.
We can't hear you unless you point at the speaker.
Oh well. He speaks Italian.
So, ice.
I don't think we have any ice.
Have any ice?
Oh my gosh.
I'm really
Foul.
sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's the worst.
Fuck, we should have had you pick some
thing
up on
Yeah,
the
I know,
way.
right?
Yeah, right.
Should have got a bag.
It's a low budget.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
You had to watch me drink that
This
much
is
beer.
independent filmmaking.
Exactly.
Make your own ice.
Or dependent
Bring your own
filmmaking.
Where
So-
he's from, they do that. Minnesota.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
from Buffalo. We all make ice.
Buffalo, Minnesota? Or
No, Buffalo,
New York. Because there's a Buffalo, Minnesota. So, but
You don't have to make ice in Buffalo.
No, they do. They do. Like 8 months out of the year, we just make ice. That's our job.
Because you can.
Because we can.
Because you just
We
put
just
water
make,
outside.
Mother Nature said, we're going to make ice.
and it
You know, I
And
partied
you.
downtown Buffalo.
Yeah, it's
Well,
pretty cool,
yeah,
right?
it was all right.
I've had
Found
good
the-
times in Buffalo.
Ran into the-
Bad
really
times.
bad times in Buffalo.
Diane's from,
It
right?
just said, look, we ran into the only tranny bar that all of Buffalo, the one that was
Marcel's?
luck.
just
By
by
luck.
luck. Yeah,
After
luck.
4 hours searching on the internet, we, by luck, found the only.
By chance.
Yeah, make sure I don't get in your
There's
sideline.
probably more than one though now.
Ah, well.
Anyway,
it
we're
was
having
pretty
an interview
economically
with
depressing,
Ryan
I could say.
right now. Right now, Ryan
It
is
was
the
pretty depressed.
Hey,
Hey, this is
right
my
now,
moment.
Ryan is
Oh,
Exactly.
Ryan, sorry, this is all about you right now.
If you have questions, ask Ryan. If you have comments,
I have questions.
okay, ask him.
You are a swinger? And that's what you how you introduced him, right?
Well, no, not as a swinger, as an open lifestyle advocate, which
Okay,
can be
what's
many
the difference?
things.
What is the difference?
I don't. It's politically nicer to put it as a lifestyle advocate.
Same difference.
The same
then.
difference, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, are you in a relationship now?
Not right now, no.
And so-
I just came out of a 5-year relationship, actually.
How? Okay, so
And she was a participant.
Yes.
Well,
but
Yeah,
now that
yeah.
you are dating, or whatever that means, you're single. So that means then, how does that change your status in the swinger sort of?
Well, certainly there are resorts and clubs and things like that we used to go to that don't admit single men for various reasons.
So here's finally the stigma of being a dude.
Well, because we'll just creep on everything that moves.
Yes.
So at least you've got a woman with you. You keep things in check.
it's not like you have a problem finding one to go with you.
No, that's definitely. It's just a matter of time now. So
Motherfucker.
I got a story for you.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I
Oh,
want to
my
know
God.
all about this story.
Good golly.
Okay, so now we've learned. Here's the realism, you guys. Single men are creepers.
Well, yeah, sometimes
Men in relationships are swingers.
Exactly.
Well, we could legally
standard.
creep. At least we
Legally
we can
creep.
legally creep. Because at least the wife can go back and say, hey, that dude over there, talk your man.
In the swinger community, is it more often the women that are the ones that are the instigators in that kind of relationship?
I've met a lot of different people, and I would honestly say it's really, in my experience, it's been split down the middle. Some have been, the men, some have been the women. And I'm actually, again, this is my experience, surprised that the statistic has been that high for women, because I would have thought it would have been more of the men and less of the women, but it's always fascinating to me when I meet a woman who, she saw this as a way of growing personally and sexually and within the relationship, and it's fascinating to me how these things play out. One of the conversations that I've had with Jacques and Roger when I first read the screenplay for the film was, how does this start? Because I think the most awkward part of the lifestyle is the first conversation you have with your significant other who you've been with for a very long time,
Right.
when you basically say, hey, I love you to death, but I kind of want to have sex with other people. That can, be a big boner. That can really mess some things
Or
up.
not a big boner.
Or not at all.
Not at all.
I think that is the real hurdle. It's the level of trust and level of understanding. When you bring that up and come to that realization that you'd like to explore this side of yourself, that's huge. So for a man to say that to a woman or a woman to say that to a man, I'm just always fascinated by, how that worked out and how they went about it and stuff like that.
Well, so a lot of this is, not that anyone wouldn't have already assumed that, but a lot of this is psychology
Oh, I think so.
and how communication, just like any healthy relationship, is going to require a fair amount of that.
Yeah.
So, what's the conversation that you have when you're in a steady relationship and you want to open up that conversation? Is it something that you start from the very beginning and you sort of hint around towards it until all of a sudden it becomes a real conversation, or is it something that you pop into like a year in? You're like, hey, so I want to fuck somebody else in the nicest way possible.
Well, you're really talking to the wrong guy here, because I don't dance. I don't play any games. It's literally and figuratively out there from the moment you meet me.
But I think in a way that's healthier.
Yeah.
Not even in a way.
My sex life, when I am in a relationship, it's very important that be the one thing. If we don't agree on any other part of our relationship, but we have the same desires sexually, that's going to work. And I've said this example to them before. It's like, if you like baseball and I like basketball, you can go watch the baseball game with your friends, I can go watch the basketball game with my friends. But if you don't like to fuck the way I like to fuck, or you only like to fuck once a month and I like to fuck once a day, this is going to be a problem.
But
There should-
that's men-women stuff anyway.
Well, but a lot of people end up compromising in the bedroom, and I think that not enough emphasis is put on the requirements that each individual has in the bedroom early on in the relationship. So much time is invested, putting on, your best face and just being, the best person you can be in the initial parts of the relationship, that you don't really get too deep into the sexual stuff. I mean, of course, you'll have sex, but some of those deep, dark things don't come out for a while. And now by the time they do, you've already invested so much time that it's like, okay, well, obviously we're on different fields here. Do I just walk away because everything else is awesome, or do we compromise? For me, I have done the compromise before. It doesn't work. If we don't see things eye to eye, if the things that turn me on don't turn you on, I don't want to have pity sex. I don't want somebody to give me sex because they're doing me a favor. That doesn't turn me on. I don't care who you are. I don't care how gorgeous you are. I don't care what your body looks like. If you're not into it, I'm not into it. I don't care. It's got to be what gets you off gets me off. That's the bottom line.
How much of this lifestyle takes over your everyday life?
Very little.
Very little. Yeah,
Well, thank you.
no. Very little. No,
The reason I say that is I know the man works 24/7.
Yeah, I literally, a short day for me is 12 hours. An average day is 16.
Okay, so but you work in this show business, and that's normal. But not everybody works in this business.
No.
And
You mean
So-
how much is a typical?
A typical
how much
person, I
would
guess, is
a
asking.
typical person?
Oh.
Because a lot of times what happens is when you have a sexual lifestyle, and a lot of times it becomes a stereotypical. Well, all you're thinking about most of the time, all day long, is who's your next fuck? What are you? How are you planning out the day? You have you're the dominant. You have a submissive at home waiting for you. Like, this is your whole day. You've now planned out the rest of your life, sort of based on what your sexual needs are.
Yeah.
How much of that ends up in a typical swinger relationship?
I don't know. For me, it's not like putting together a March Madness bracket. It'd be fun if I could do
Because
that.
I have my fantasy football team all worked out right now.
I mean, I
Go
do
UCLA.
know couples that they're at lifestyle events every weekend, or they're hosting, or they've met friends and it's become social or whatever. For me and my experience, me and my girlfriend would go to this one exclusive resort in Palm Springs, and that was our getaway. It was escape from life, go here, act out this part of our life, come back, and we only did it literally a few times a year, and then on occasion we would hook up with some other couples here and there, but it wasn't the kind of thing where we're counting down the week, almost like Friday happy hour. Okay, it's time to do this. I think if you constantly are out there circulating, I love sex and I would love to have lots and lots of it, but I think if it is consuming you and that's your whole goal is to spread your seed all around, there's probably something more going on there. If this is your entire life, you might want to, reevaluate your priorities just a little bit, but
But I think that's a lot of the
Did I just say that really?
Yeah, you did.
I think that's a lot of the misconception.
So what are you going to do?
about
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Ryan?
I think that's a lot of the misconception of
But yeah,
a sexual lifestyle is that it does require a lot of your time. But
people can let it consume them. It's all how you choose to manage it. And like I say, when I said I knew couples who, would always be at lifestyle events, mind you, that didn't mean that they're participating in gangbangs every Friday, Saturday night. They would get to meet other, couples that they shared similar interests. And, for me, when I was originally living in San Diego and doing it, we met couples that I have a boat, so
Well, you guys talk first, you share food, and then you gangbang.
Well, ideally.
gangbang like a whole other.
Yeah,
like,
I was just kidding.
No, but I mean, for
Yes.
real though, if we're talking all honestly, like
Gangbang's one
swinging
woman
is
who's
one
got like
thing,
18
but like
dudes behind
gangbang
her.
is
Or that's a train, really.
Different.
I need a lot of lube and some ibuprofen.
Going to a
So yeah,
gangbang.
there's people who will only make friends with other lifestylers, and it's okay, sure, but to completely put all my eggs, at least for me, in one basket and say I'm only going to be around other people who share the same mindset as me. I'm only going to do social things. All those,
Fuck that up.
not me. There are people that do that, but that's not my
So
thing.
how long have you gone, how long have you gone with only having sex with one person? What's that time period? When you start getting the itch of like, okay, we need to branch out, see other people.
Well, that depends on the person because I've been on a couple dates with this one girl and she's very much into this kind of stuff.
Okay.
And
So you found a perfect match.
so far, so for the topic to come up, it would be like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's do it. It wouldn't be like, oh, okay, I'm getting bored. It would be like, it's her feeding me feeding her. After the second.
Do you think it's possible if her hunger was actually more than yours to be with other people? Would the tables ever turn where you're like, hey, maybe we don't need to do this so much. Maybe we just need some more alone time.
Oh no. That gets you even more exciting. In fact, if we were on our second date, and I was like, so how'd your week go? She's good. I go, so do you want any other dates? She goes, with men? I go, okay, well, with anybody. She goes, I wanted to date with this lesbian. I wanted to see if I was that into girls or not. I'm like, well, so what do you think? I don't know. I just see her one more time. I'm like, no.
Okay,
And it wasn't
now,
for the fact that it's a woman. No, the whole woman on woman thing isn't a big
Right.
deal. The
It
fact
has
that she just
everything
wanted to
to
go
do
Right.
with the
check
fact
it
that
off
it's a
and go do
woman.
this.
Hold on, because if she would have said, yeah, it was with 3 different guys.
Oh, no.
It's a whole different story.
Hey,
She doesn't.
that would have been a real good story.
Yeah, you don't know that.
I would have loved
No,
that.
I'm asking.
He gets off on that.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
That makes me happy.
Absolutely.
Because there are not a lot of guys out there
Oh, no,
that
in
are
fact-
like just as cool with a girl having sex with a girl.
Although that is
She
different
actually-
in the lifestyle.
It's
though.
funny. She actually sent me a text message the next day after we first had sex. She goes, "Can we please make a mold of your penis so that I can practice with that and a dildo so we can get ready for a DP?"
Oh, wow.
This girl has goals.
I find that incredibly romantic.
I was, but you know, that's the thing that
But she didn't say so that I can have sex with another man and DP with him in your.
you know. Again, I would
That's
not.
awesome.
That would be cool
You
because
guys, we finally broke some molds. No pun intended.
you know, and I think the reason that I find it so incredibly sexy is they're being real. They're being raw. Anybody who says they don't have fantasies, that they don't have things that they want to try, is full of shit. You know, I've seen so many marriages that, you know, they look so great for the first 10. And the kids get a little older, things get a little stale, they get a little routine. The next thing you know, the guy's out sucking off other guys, the woman's doing this. I mean, crazy shit goes down. People need to get their needs met. And
But that's psychology.
that's what I'm saying is so sexy about this. The fact that I can promote this open of a dialogue with somebody that I just met as if we're talking about the weather. I like that because there's no bullshit. You know, I don't have time for lies in my life. I don't want to lie to anybody. I'm too busy. I'm very career oriented. When I do want to let my hair down, I don't want it to be with all of these rules and regulations. We're adults. We're consenting adults. Let's be honest with you, we don't want to do it, you know.
I think it's easy though, and I don't have kids and I'm not married, so I'm saying this as a novice, but I think it's easier to say what you just said when you don't have those things that are sort of hanging up. When you're stuck with someone or like bonded to someone,
There's a lot more
and-
risk involved.
a huge amount of and a huge amount of commitment that you have to sort of rely on.
Exactly.
That like, okay, we now have 13-year-old kids. They're fine. They're not going to be home most of the time anymore.
Oh, sure.
So now it's just the two of us. What do we do? What do we do? How do you rekindle it? How do you spark it? I mean, that's a whole other
I
conversation.
know that's
But
the
that's
thing.
where the psychology comes in. Which is why the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing is interesting to me because it sort of sparked a whole another conversation. We don't have to be dead just because we have reached a certain age, or because we have had a kid, or because we have been married for a certain amount of time. None of that is relevant. We just have to remember to talk to each other. You can have everything
Okay.
you want. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right, we're being joined.
We have new blood.
We have new blood.
When did I take over the fucking interview?
Do it. You did a great
Great.
job.
What's your name?
Jordan?
Jordan.
Holy mackerel! We don't know what to
What's
say.
happening?
No.
Okay, you look like one of his girlfriends. I'm sorry. I just had to verify that.
All right, here's
I probably know what you asked.
the speakers are over here, so you have to kind of talk loud, and so we can hear what you have to say. Don't be afraid to project. You guys are both models and actresses. You do
Yes.
nude modeling, but it's like art, very artistic. At least what I saw on your site.
At least what I saw.
They have a Tumblr page.
Cheers
Both
to
of you.
that.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
both
we
of them have a Tumblr page and they have their work on there. And you work with several different kinds of.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people.
And you're both from LA, right?
California. Yeah, surrounding. I'm from Ojai.
Okay.
I'm from Rancho
I've been there one time.
Really?
People up there, yeah.
It is
There's a spa up there that I went to.
There's a lot of spas up there.
Yeah.
It's a spa
Yeah.
town.
Okay, so we're having just sort of an open conversation
Okay.
about open relationships.
Okay. Interesting.
So before we launch back into that, we've heard Ryan's perspective. I'd like to hear your perspectives. Are you basically monogamists?
No. I mean, I don't know. I have an interesting concept of monogamy recently. I don't know if it's entirely realistic, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Well, that's okay. Let's hear your fantasy.
Oh, I don't know if it's a fantasy. I don't know if I could live by it because I'm a very jealous person, unfortunately. But I would like to not be. But I don't think people by nature are monogamous because dating back to like before it was really, I think marriage is like a religious thing, things brought on by like kings and queens and stuff like that. So before you ever really belonged to somebody by like a marriage title, everybody was just fucking each other. You know, there's no love was still a thing. You could still be connected to somebody in a certain way, but nobody was like, you're only supposed to be with me. I don't think that was ever really a thing that was instilled until we started developing religions.
And how do you think this applies to current relationships?
I think it explains a lot of why people are unfaithful. I don't know.
You think they would have if they could just be themselves, they would have open relationships?
Yeah.
If jealousy
Well,
wasn't
people
an
could let
issue.
go of the stigmas
Yeah.
surrounding sex. You know, it's very American, very, very crazy. The first time I ever went to a nudist resort, I was 21. I came back and told my friends about it. They all freaked out, and they're like, "What about the old people? What about this?" I'm like, you know what? I talked to a woman who was in her 60s, had a double mastectomy, not physically attractive, but the conversation that I had with her and the fact that she's just, this is me. I'm like, rock on.
Confidence is the sexiest
Yeah.
thing in the world.
Yeah, I'm like, good for you. You know, they're all going, well, didn't you get a boner? Or, you know, didn't you want to fuck everything that moved? I'm like, what is this? Junior fucking high school? No, that wasn't. This was very, very freeing. It was very liberating. It was an amazing experience. People all of a sudden, or always associate like nudity with sex. You know, why do you have to be naked
Oh my
and
God.
putting your dick in something or opening your legs for something? Can't
Oh
we
my
just
God.
be naked and be naked to be naked?
You're
You know?
so preaching to the choir.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's only married, you know, Minnesota. I'm at the top of the Bible Belt up there. You know, it's,
You brought up a very interesting thing, though, because I don't know that it needs to. I think of myself as a pretty open person. I'm not judging any. I think all of it is pretty awesome. Me myself, I'm not a jealous person necessarily by nature, but I would prefer, I think, not an open relationship. But not because of
But I
a
think-
religious stigma or not because of a
I think it's just how
societal
we're raised.
stigma. I think it's just a preference.
Yeah.
And so there are ways to get around, I suppose, the jealousy you brought up.
Yeah.
You're just too jealous to
Yeah.
be and something like that. But I think that's just a confidence thing. It's just
Yeah.
about being
Well,
in a
definitely,
supportive
absolutely.
relationship as
I-
opposed to being.
I can definitely say some insecurity thing with the jealousy and stuff. I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit that. And I think that something interesting that somebody said to me at one time was they would be like much more hurt and feel much more like cheated on if they found like somebody was going to like dinners and non-romantic walks on the beach and like, having conversations with somebody than if they just like fucked them and left.
That's a whole different thing that we need to talk about.
oh, I mean, the shorter the leash, the more the dog wants to run. You know, it's-
Yeah, but isn't there a difference between if you're gonna swing because it's a sexual encounter that's
It's
gonna happen.
a sport.
with
That's
the
it.
two-
I'm not.
yes.
It's not about polyamory. I don't.
And it's
I
not
don't
about
carry,
taking long walks on the beach. and
Yeah, I
having-
don't. I don't carry on multiple love-based relationships.
And you're not texting
That's-
them in between,
No.
and there's no exchange of niceties
No.
in between
No,
the
I
sexual encounters. And that makes a huge difference, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Because it's just a thing. It's a mechanism it's a means to an end.
But referring to an interview before you guys got here earlier, it's interesting that the girls that you talked to earlier, who I don't think were in the room, about it's actually the opposite. They want that
For the two of them, it was,
connection.
yeah.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting to see the perspective.
Well,
on it.
girls,
But
I think,
then-
will always. I mean, I think we get off more on the emotional side of things
Yeah.
than guys
Yeah.
do. Guys are more like. But when a guy is connecting with a woman and texting and
But these guys do that with
That's
these girls.
scary.
But they're the
I mean, we're talking about a high class escort
Yeah, exactly.
who has these emotional attachments
Yeah,
to the
and
guys that
guys
she
have
has
more of a
relationship
than
with.
they have to
for money,
Believe it or not, yeah, exactly.
and she gets
And a
attached
lot of them are married
Or has.
or
and has multiple relationships. And then the other one is she was an advocate or not a she was an open relationship. I guess what did she call herself? What was that? Anyway, she was an expert. I mean, and she has multiple boyfriends around. She has one primary that she lives with, and then she has satellites of men that she has
Satellites.
emotional relationships with.
Right. And she actually, one girl said she prefers those, she has those close relationships with, but the men probably rely on her.
Yeah, the men actually break down more than they do,
Yeah.
as far as
So
lining
is
up.
she having sex with the guys that she's?
Oh yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Both.
But she has more of an emotional attachment to some,
All-
and more
to-
of a physical
that's correct.
attachment to others.
But she says she gets the escort gets emotionally attached to almost all of her clients.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah,
That
see,
sounds
that's a different. I mean, that's a
I
different
know.
means of.
That's a lot.
of
Yeah, I can only
gathering
focus
your
on
needs.
like
Not.
two
I don't mean.
people.
I don't think it's beyond.
Gathering your needs.
Right.
But she, in other words, she feels an emotional. Yeah, she
with my partner.
takes
Right.
care of them in a way that makes her feel like they're in a relationship for that moment that they're together.
Right.
And that's the emotional thing.
Right.
It's important to her, even though she gets paid as an escort.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I don't want sex
That's
only
a
after we've done
multitasking.
You don't see that
Right.
No.
too many hookers. So
You're just
Well,
more about the
or
experience.
maybe you do.
I doubt
Here's
it.
what I want to say to you.
I seriously doubt it.
Right.
You were saying about how you prefer a monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
But it's for me, in a way, serial monogamy is you're not having multiple partners simultaneously, but you're having multiple partners,
But not simultaneously.
but not simultaneously. And it, in a way, it's a form of non-monogamy because you're just you're not really locking into someone for
Well, but isn't
long
the,
enough
but
to.
isn't the hope that you would? I guess that's the idea. I'm not a multitasker, and so I don't want to have to. I don't want to be thinking about 12 things at one time, or even 3 things at one time. I want to be. If I'm choosing you for right now, I would like for you to be the one that I would like to spend the majority of my time with. And if it's not working, then eventually it's not going to work, and then we move on to the next person I would like to spend a lot of time with.
But
But spending a little time with
And I'm
you
just
and a
arguing-
little time with him and a little time with him, that just seems complicated to me, and I just don't want to bother.
But you know what works, though?
I don't. That doesn't work.
But that also because
It doesn't work for you at
I'm
all.
more of like a typical girl where like I like to be seduced emotionally. I want to be involved emotionally.
I mean, have no illusions. I mean, I love to wine and dine and travel and do special things. For me, the sex thing is just if we have desires, let's act them out together. No holds barred. You know, and it's not to say that, you know, if I did meet someone and she put the close the door on it, you know, depending on how everything else was, that might have to be the case.
That was actually going to be my
You know?
question. Because
Yep.
I dated someone who was in that world, and he made it sound like he could give that up, and he has done it with past girlfriends. But I'm like, I don't think he would ever truly be happy for a long term to do that. I would hate to do that to someone, and I just felt like I loved him dearly as a person, but we were so different that way that I just said, you know, hey, do your thing, and you know, whatever. But I don't think we're going to be happy long term in a relationship where, you know, I have these different.
Well, and only time will tell, but I mean, the fact that we're open enough to at least, you know, discuss it and deal with it, that's the thing. Some people just don't even talk about sex.
Yeah,
Again, the
right.
thing that you do after you have dinner at Olive Garden, go watch a movie and turn the lights off.
Oh my God! Ew!
That's,
Do you want to get married? Is marriage a thing that is something that's interesting?
well, interesting is interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's interesting. You know, it's like
Because
like
I
a
don't
science
find marriage
class.
interesting anyway.
No,
It doesn't make sense to me.
You know, I remember what show was it? I don't remember if it was one of the MTV reality shows. It was either the one with the two rock stars. You got the one, you got Ozzy, and then you got the other one.
Bret Michaels.
No, the other, Gene
Flavor
Simmons.
Flav? Oh, Gene.
Oh, right.
Okay, Gene has the ex-Playboy wife, right?
Shannon
Yeah.
Tweed.
Shannon. But
Current
they're now
wife.
wife, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they were open.
But I remember before they officially got married, he said something that I thought was very, very valid. He goes, you know, marriage, you say, I do once, okay? You live by this commitment, this cloud. He goes, every day we wake up and we decide we do. You know, it's a one day at a time. You know, and I found that to be incredibly profound.
Thank you for quoting Jesus.
That was incredibly profound.
Hey, the man just got elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Relationship.
Now, goddamn.
Finally.
Relationship guru Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
So you guys are young, I assume.
We're really old. Yeah.
Well, I mean, just because their mom dropped them off doesn't mean.
So your experience in relationships is probably growing.
Well, let's hope it's growing.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And but in what relationships you've had thus far, I mean, what are the how do your lovers respond to your?
Stop calling them lovers, first of all.
The way he said
I
that.
don't know if it's a girl
No one
or
of
a guy.
our generation calls them lovers.
Lover.
Well, I just wanted to define it. You know, you can't make
What's
assumptions.
your FB?
Yeah,
Guys,
you're
girls,
fuck
whatever you date,
Yeah.
whatever. The people who are important to you, like, are they comfortable with your nudity and your choice in profession?
I don't really date people that are okay with it. Like, I don't really let people in my life that aren't okay with it.
Aren't okay
Yeah.
with it, yeah.
That's very true.
How do you know? How do you find them? Do you tell them?
Usually
What-
stick
what-
to the industry. Yeah, pretty much stick to other people that do the same thing. Yeah, it's really hard to, in my experience. I mean, I found one person that I saw for maybe a week or so that was okay with it. But it's kind of like I've noticed that, at least in other people, that it's over time thing, where they act like they're okay with it at first, and then they kind of get used to seeing that their girlfriend's naked on the internet, and all these guys are saying these sleazy things to them, and they like start to develop a complex about it, and then it becomes a problem. Personally, since I've been doing this, I've only dated people that have been within the industry, and that's honestly just because I don't really do much else, so I don't really meet anybody else.
Do you think that there is a conversation or some sort of communication that you can have with a guy
Yeah.
that is uncomfortable with all of a sudden, like he knows what you do,
Yeah.
obviously, and he's already informed. But at a certain point, like you said, he's starting to get uncomfortable.
Well,
Do
do
you
you
think that there's like
because I don't think it was totally clear, at least to me, I mean, hey, this is what you guys do, you know, so like, did you video cam, don't you said, or? was it-
No.
Okay.
It's we both do freelance modeling. I'm signed commercially, but the nude stuff that I do is not through my agency. That's just my own work.
And so who are you modeling for?
It's different stuff.
Random people.
It's
Artists that
yeah,
draw
yeah.
you, or is this like
Artists,
people are just
photographers,
Okay.
painters, sculptors,
Yeah.
people who do short films, etc.
So how does this relate to this? I'm just trying to figure out like the dots. Like how does that relate to this? I mean, how does that-
It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that.
Yeah,
we're-
I thought it'd be interesting because like they're young
Right.
and they're sort of out there dating and sort of defining what kind of relationships they want to have, and even just doing nudity is like hard for some guys.
Over the line.
You know,
or
it's
Yeah,
hard. It's
something,
like to them, it's an alternative. Like,
right.
oh my God, you're naked, and like just nudity is just such a big thing.
So what is
Or-
the response that you get from the guys
Uh,
that you date? When
People
they
that I
come
meet who are outside of the industry who find out what I do, they get really weird.
in? Really?
Yeah, they're like, well, I've already seen you naked and the
Really?
Yeah. They get uncomfortable with it and then they can't get past it.
Well, I mean, I studied art, so that's why I'm like really fascinated by that. Because to me, it's art, you know, an art form, studying an art form, body is a beautiful thing. If you can draw the human body, you know, you can draw anything, is what they tell you. So to me, it's just I mean, it was a little uncomfortable at first, because I'm from the Midwest, and people are up there, but you know, when once you got past that, you realize it was an artistic, you know, expression versus it's not sexual in any way, really, you know. But is there some sexuality to it, or is it strictly just nudity?
There is
Sometimes
sexuality.
there's
Okay.
sexuality. Sometimes there's a lot of sexuality, but it's not. It's like subtle sexuality.
Okay.
I don't think that sexuality really dominates what it is, but there is always going to be an aspect to it. And
Sure.
I don't think that it necessarily means that it needs to be like, quote unquote sexy, or like sexual, where it is flat out about sex. But there is always kind of an element to it. But I think that's just because
Erotic,
it's very
like,
human,
more erotic, yeah.
more so than it is about trying to turn people on.
And how much does doing that kind of work affect your work as actresses? Like, do people feel like, oh, you're that actress?
I've had people tell me that they want to work with me because I'm willing to be nude and have a hard time finding people to do nude.
That is true. A lot of the stuff that I've done, a lot of the music videos that I've done, or a couple of the commercials that I've done, have somehow involved nudity, and I need somebody that's comfortable with that. Because even if it's not being shown on camera, you're still naked in front of an entire crew of people,
Yeah.
and you need to be okay with that, and not be uptight about it. So.
At what point in your life, again, because you guys are both young, did you discover you were okay with it?
Were your parents hippies?
That was actually the.
Nailed it. I'm from Ohio. You've been there once.
Oh, right.
Of course they were. I was actually going to say, he was talking about a nudist thing. I went to Nude Hot Springs when I was a kid with my parents, so that might.
Wait, you saw your parents nude?
Yeah.
Okay, that might freak me out. I mean, I'm okay with everybody else nude, but my parents being nude, it's like a whole different thing.
I understand you on that one. No, it was a little weird for that, but I mean, it was, you know, that might contribute to why this is what I do, partially, maybe, you know.
Just
But-
means you're comfortable with your own sexuality because they were comfortable with
Yeah.
their own sexuality, and they didn't show any shame in that. You
Yeah.
know, you being there and seeing them like that, it was a natural
Yeah.
thing.
Seems so
Exactly.
It really is, and you know what?
It
It's
is.
interesting because actually somebody sent a message to model Casey Marie about she's another nude model, and it was basically saying that she was really inspirational again because her body type looks like theirs, and it's not one that you see all the time on TV, and it's like somebody
Why,
wants to take
why-
pictures of.
what?
She's curvier. That's all.
Curvier.
Yeah,
I
but.
like curvier.
But you know, it's just not a typical model body, what you would say. And somebody was inspired by that because somebody wants to take pictures of her, and there's a lot of people like seeking her work and trying to work with her and pay her to see her. And I think that that's really empowering to women because you get to see all these different types of body types. Like she's shorter, and that's not
Very small.
something that's usually accepted.
We
in
call
modeling.
that petite.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know you get to see all these different types of body types being accepted, and that's for this day and age, and everybody hating on the media. You know, it's I think it's a good thing. People and stuff, women.
Yeah, I think so. It's always empowering to different. You know, of course, the media throws at you. This is what everyone needs to look like. It should look like.
Yeah.
Unless you look like that, you're not beautiful, and it's not nice. So it is empowering to be able to do something like that. And I actually was impressed with the models that came in our classes. I was like, wow, and they weren't perfect. And it
All
was
should look like
inspiring.
David Bowie.
Well,
that's
we should.
exactly what's
That's-
happening.
We should.
Yeah,
We
right.
don't
That
all
is
look like
true.
David Bowie. We're fucked up somehow.
That's right.
But it does inspire you, like people like yourself would inspire me if you got up in front of me and had that, you know, self-esteem and whatever to do with that, you know, it's rubs off on other people. You know, do that, or, you know, see things in you that they'd like to see in themselves and like to be comfortable in their own body. You know.
Do you, as a man, have any responsibility for our self-esteem?
Wow. Really
Yes.
leaning on that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think men
I'm
can
very-
contribute to building it up.
Oh,
You
I'm-
I can
can.
also
I'm
contribute
very
to
confident.
And
destroying
we
it.
are the same way. We have every ounce of power to make you guys feel like you're the fucking king, and you have every ounce of power to make us feel like we are awesome, and vice versa.
Well, if you're a king with a big sword, you don't need a lot of people to tell you.
Oh, there
I
it is.
will be the first one to say that a big dick does not mean you're an awesome dude. It just means you have a big dick. That's it. And you know what?
It is a
Ow.
good start.
Ow.
Ow.
Okay?
Yes.
Ow.
Yes.
Only an
Yes.
occasional kidney rearrangement.
Give me a reason. Yeah, anyway.
Just anyway?
Transition on all of it.
What do you want to transition into?
Well, I want to continue talking about, for me, the whole thing is about intimacy and understanding, the movie's called Connection. So it's about, the way that
It's about
we connect with each
e-harmony.
other. The way that we connect with each other. And how people use sex as an expression of that connection. And, it is, we are like, we're islands, each of us. We're sort of locked in our bodies. And so when you do have sex with somebody, it sort of feels like connecting the islands. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. It's kind of an illusion. So I like to feel like people are
I just like the island hop,
like a vacation island hopper. And I like this.
Kind of like been there, Chuck.
I like to call it what it is. And
Island
World
hopping.
traveler.
No, it's just like sex can be a beautiful thing. It can be an expression. It can be a connection. But it can also just be island hopping. And for me, with this movie, I'm trying to understand where people are actually trying to connect, and where they're just
Two ships passing in the night.
no, they're just using that as an excuse to sort of act out, and there's nothing wrong with having a good time. Just admit that's what it is. We're just having a good time.
If it is, well, yes, if it is filling a void, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons,
Who hurt you? Ryan, who hurt you?
no, I've always had very terrific relationships. I've been very fortunate.
Was it your mother that hurt you?
No, I'm great family. No one's divorced. Everyone's still together.
But there are people like that.
But there are people that use.
Well, he's going to be best man at his brother's wedding next week.
Wow.
But I mean, it's.
But you can kind of seek those people, like you kind of steer away from those kind of people.
Yeah, that begins to concern me when I start to get involved in their issues. Because it's not, like I said, it's not what this is just something fun with my partner that we can do together. It's not, again, requiring the attention or love of other people. It's too much. It's not enough to love one person, I love 10 people.
Yeah. Well, that's the other level of, like, a couple of guys I was talking to today. Reed, Rye, so many names. He feels like he can love multiple people. So he gets into.
I think some people can do that.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
He gets
I
into-
can't.
I just don't have that much attention
Yeah.
span.
He gets into multiple love relationships.
I think there are people that are amazing multitaskers.
Seems stressful.
It does, me too. But there are some people that I think like directors, like people with ADD, I think can really focus on a lot of things at a lot of time. I can't do that. I wouldn't even know where to begin with all of that.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same. Like, I mean, it'd be one thing to have a primary where you have that, and then bounce around. That kind of open relationship, I can understand that. Because the rest is just playing around. Playing
But you
basketball
always
with him,
have
and then
home to
playing
go home
basketball
to.
with Yeah. And you have your just stable thing where your heart resides, and the rest of you play around other places.
So sex is just sex in that particular case. and love is love, and it's a whole different thing. So
I
where
agree
does
with
that land with you?
No, I agree with that.
Love
Yeah.
is love, and then
Love
sex
is love. Yeah,
sex.
sex is sex.
You
When it's
shouldn't-
outside of the relationship with that person, it's just sport. It's just sport. You know, it's fun.
And it builds up your ego, and it makes her feel good because she can get some too, and everybody's feeling like everybody's built up. But at the end of the day, you guys are both going home together.
Yeah, but it's not. No, it's not even about an ego build-up because, like, for me, like watching her feel open enough to go get pleasured by another man, I think is incredibly powerful. That I hold the key to that gate to allow her to do that, and vice versa. That's something we both want to do, and we're comfortable enough and discussed enough that this is my gift to you. You can do this. I'm okay with it. Express yourself. Do what you want to do. Be yourself. So like I said, you know, if you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat. You know, so let's all be open and honest about our intentions. And again, there are people that can be monogamous. That's totally cool. But, you know, if you're with someone and they have things that they want to do them together. A couple that plays together stays together. I mean, you know, it's...
You were talking earlier a little bit about how it turns you on to know that the woman that you're with, the core person you're with, would be with other guys openly. And can you just talk a little bit about that, why that's a turn on?
Well, it's a turn on to me. The turn on could be any number of different scenarios.
Yeah.
The fact that that particular scenario that she wanted to do that, and she was confident enough to bring that to my attention, really turns me on because she's owning her sexuality. Again, you know, I don't like people that have to get super liquored up to have sex. You know, they have to blame their inhibitions or their actions on you know, other factors, things like that. For someone to say, this is on my bucket list, it's something I want to try, I find that incredibly attractive.
So it's not it's not so much that you men
It could be any fantasy. It could
turns
be
you on, it's the fact that her
whatever it is that she came to me and said,
self-confidence
Yeah.
is what
that she just said, this is what I want to do. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
it could be that she wants to have multiple men. It could just be that she just wants to be at a dance club and give a guy a hand job while nobody's the wiser. I mean, you know, anything that she just has this little thing that she wants to go do, that she can go do. I think that's incredibly hot. And then we're able to go back and do the replay together. It's really, it's sexy. It's fun. You know, that's just, you know.
being confident.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody has these, but you know.
But I don't know if the expression is I have to get liquored up to have, you know, to have sex. I think you get liquored up and then have to have sex.
Well, no, I'm not making a generalization. I'm just saying, you know, there's just certain people that can only act out when it's really.
I know what you
under
mean.
those,
I was just
yeah.
fucking with you.
You said that you get jealous. So the idea of seeing your partner turned on by somebody pisses you off.
I think if I actually like feel like I love that person, it hasn't. I don't think it's ever really bothered me or affected me if I hadn't really had feelings for that person, and that's only been twice. I mean, I'm only 21, so it's only been 2 times that I've ever felt really strongly about somebody enough that I think it would upset me. But yeah,
Have you
I'm working.
been in a relationship with somebody you didn't feel strongly about,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
maybe flirting with somebody else, and it still pissed you off?
Yes and no, but I think that's an ego thing. Not so much in the way that I feel like I'm going to get left, just kind of in the fact that I'm not being paid attention to at that point in time.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So again, I hate to keep harping on the fact that you're both young, but that's what you bring to this discussion.
That's true.
What do you not aspire, but do you see yourself at some point settling down, having a guy, and some kids? I mean, do you think of yourself as like settling into a rather traditional relationship?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. Do you?
I honestly have no idea. I do not want to get married because it doesn't mean I want to be with somebody forever.
There you go. I'll stick with that.
And why do you not want to get married?
Because
It's a daunting idea.
Pretty prison sentence.
Yeah.
There you go.
Everybody you know who's gotten married, like, it ends up ruining everything.
Yeah. And personally, in my family, everyone's been married at least twice on both sides. So
There you
it's
go.
kind of not the most encouraging.
Can I ask a question? And maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't. How many of those divorces were the result of infidelity?
a lot.
Were they? Was that the
At
primary?
least 3 of them. They my mother. I don't know about my dad's first marriage. I don't know what happened there.
So your dad and mom are still together.
No.
Oh.
No, my mom's been married 3 times. She's split from her first husband.
My grandparents
So
stayed
there's
together
3
for a long
of
time,
those.
even though my grandmother banged everything that moved.
My grandma had, I think, 4 husbands.
Wow.
Wow. And those were all infidelity too, so you're on a roll there.
Well, I mean,
Was your
you know,
grandmother the one?
No, I think my grandfather was initially. I'm not sure about all of them, but I know that at least that marriage, the biological grandparents were
What are you gonna
split
do?
up by my grandpa.
Would have blast, but then I realized there's a reason she came with plastic.
but the reason that I just brought that up, not to commandeer the conversation,
Where's
I'm
my-
near it.
Where's my
Um,
plastic cup?
infidelity. What is primarily the cause of infidelity? Lack of communication.
Yeah.
People can't say, you know, we got married, we were young, we were loved, we were frisky, things got a little bit stagnant, everything else in your life grew. We're always growing. We're always growing up, we're always changing, we're always evolving, but oftentimes, you know, kids,
questions?
family, job, all
No.
this stuff, sex kind of falls by the wayside.
I was going to
And
explain
eventually
so
you
that
come back to it.
people want to
You
ask
realize,
questions.
boy, we are not quite on the same level that we were when we were young and had all this energy and all this. And again, it's that risk that we talked about before they came in. You know, all of a sudden, you know, you got a husband who likes shoving shit up his ass, and you're afraid to tell your wife that, you know, you like having stuff up your ass. You know, I mean, what do you do?
Vegetables.
Yeah, I mean,
Vegetables.
it's an extreme example, but it's, you know, do you risk this relationship you've had for a very, very long time? Everything is good, but sometimes for some people they just go, God, it'd just be easier for me to just go find someone off the street or in a bar or when I'm out of town on business, take care of my needs. No one's the wiser. Everything goes on happy. I don't have to risk my wife thinking I'm a freak or the wife thinking, you know, my husband's gonna think I'm a freak.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, like, part of my interest in all of this stuff is a reaction to the way I grew up and sort of the way. I'm not saying that I completely transitioned out of that. I mean, theoretically, I believe what you said, that monogamy is not, you know, something that's natural to us. It's a choice. It's a difficult choice for a lot of people. But I grew up that way, and
I would say most people.
yeah, and so for me, it just felt like if I ever cheated, I'd be struck by a bolt of lightning.
Yeah.
Like it just, and I never felt like I could even have that conversation with any of the women I'd ever been with. Most of the women I were attracted to were extremely possessive, and like if I even just went, but I still felt rumblings and things. So I was always trying to reconcile that. Like what? And I went through a period. You know, I don't know if people are watching, maybe nobody's watching. Where I went a long time without sex when I was married. We were having issues, to the point where I was like, that's it, I don't care. Forget the bolt of lightning. I'm just gonna sleep with the first girl that says she just wants to sleep with me. And I was a bartender, so it's not like it didn't happen, you know, from time to time. But specifically, I literally said this to myself, and the next day at work, this girl comes in, very pretty girl, and she's like chatting me up and everything. She goes, "What time do you get out for lunch?" I said, like 2. I live down the street. You want to come over and fuck? And I'm like,
that.
well, I'm married. So am I. I won't tell if you won't tell. I'm like,
In the
oh my
words of
God, it's
Positive K,
happening.
in the words of Positive K, what's your man got to do with me?
And I totally like had that moment where I was like, sorry, I can't. I mean, I thought about it, and the bolt of lightning came back, and I just
Jacques,
said I can't do it.
but Jacques,
Wow.
in your relationship you were in at that time, that wasn't quite both ways, was it?
No, my wife was not completely monogamous. And
But
I
she
didn't
didn't
know
approach
that.
you with that before,
yeah,
exactly.
I didn't know that.
But you did it later, even while you still stayed married to her, and you still feel guilty when women would hit on you. So this is something psychological.
I mean, we're
about
not.
you.
Let's take this into perspective.
I mean, you were
to go way, way
raised by
back.
your,
A completely opposite sexual topic. I mean, we are literally only a century away from when families arranged all marriages. And you stayed with somebody not because you loved them, but because the family had fucking pride. You know, we've only been able to choose our significant others for not a very long time. And there aren't the rules that the family, I mean, at least in America, I mean, Middle East, somebody that'll chop your fucking head off. But, here, when we make our own choices, we realize that's exactly it. We have a lot of choices. And, to get married young and think that this is it forever, that's just, I don't know.
Well, the wrap up
That
to
is
my
a daunting idea.
it is a daunting idea. And the wrap up to my story is this. I said to the girl, it's very flattering, but I can't do that. And this was her response. Okay, how much do I owe you? Walked out. Like, wow, she was on a mission. That wasn't me.
And it probably
was somebody.
hurt you more than anything. Like, geez.
She's like, I gotta go find somebody. This guy's useless.
Yeah, like you were just a
She was on
number.
mission. Yeah, that's cool.
Bartenders are usually useless.
But yeah, I agree with you. We're not far evolved. That's why with the whole love concept is so interesting. Like, when did that become part of the equation? Because, like,
That's a good question.
yeah.
Well, I kind of said earlier, I think it's always been, I think you can always really strongly care specifically for one person, but whether you have to sleep with them forever might not have always been there.
Yeah,
You
because
can still have that, like,
not long
I
ago,
want
it was
to
very
spend
much
all
a
my
practical
time
arrangement.
with you.
Business arrangement, religious
Dowries, all
arrangement.
that stuff.
Yeah.
It was business.
so
We are, however, in an era where women have a lot more balls than we used to have.
God
And we're
bless.
allowed to have a lot more balls than we used to
I
have.
love it.
especially when you
However-
talk about transsexual.
That is absolutely true. But the
Especially-
women that were genetically born to mostly women and stayed mostly women, we were allowed to do culturally a lot more than we were allowed to do before, which is really fucking cool. Except that I don't know that we like the idea of the power of
Right.
things, but we don't necessarily need to partake in a lot of the power of.
But a lot of women do. That's where you and I are on the same page that way. But there are a lot of women who have gone that direction and decided to take on what was traditionally more the male role and be more the predatorial, whatever. And there's a lot of women that are okay with that. And part of
And
me
it
wants
freaks out a lot of the guys
part of me
too.
wants to be that woman. I mean, it seems very empowering,
Let me
believe
ask you
me.
guys
But
something, especially you guys. So you like sex, I imagine. If you have a problem with it.
Ew.
But you also like the committed relationship. That's what you're looking for. What happens in between? What happens, like like you have biological needs, but you don't have necessarily the person that you want to ride off into the sunset with? What happens then?
Call me.
I'm gonna let you take that one first.
Thanks for asking me that. But please do not sit. Thank you.
On my face.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it depends on who you end up meeting, because then it just becomes dating, which I think is ultimately the most complicated thing, is trying to find someone that you can find a commonality with.
Dating in LA is fucking impossible.
But dating, by the way, dating everywhere is complicated. It
Right.
just
Also
depends on what
even
kind of
Buffalo?
yes. It just depends on what kind of complicated you're willing to deal with.
Yeah.
And
That's,
the you're always going to find people that want to have sex. Fine. But if you will always find people that you like more than they like you. And if you have a casual encounter with someone that you think is less casual than what they're thinking it is, that's when things get complicated.
that's dating.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, always. That is always what gets complicated.
Make
So
rules.
then it gets even more interesting when you
Yeah,
find
tell them
someone
to
that you
start from the
can
beginning.
have. Okay, now we've agreed that we have a commonality or whatever. Okay, now you want to take it to another level. But the initial hardship, I think, is finding that someone that you have something with.
Let me ask you this: as a guy, and women have sometimes a different perspective on this. Have you ever met someone that you just love their personality? They're fun to be with. They're smart. They're everything. You have great sex, but you don't want to be in a relationship with them.
Sure,
Yes.
Just for whatever reason, there's just something.
it's complicated or it's weird or there's
It's
a
more like
physical
your buddy.
attraction.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're friends more than
Or
anything
not,
else.
or not. You don't even want to be friends with them. You just want to fuck their brains out and go away. And that's, yes, of course,
Mhm.
there's always going to be that. There will always be that.
But good, thank God for that, because that
Sometimes,
fills the gaps.
But it's just,
So-
for me, it's just as hard to find someone like that as it is to find someone that
Yes.
you want to fall in love with.
That's true.
Because
That's true,
because in
you
order to
fuck
have
someone
that
you don't
relationship,
actually like.
you have to
Yeah.
have trust.
Well,
you have
some
to have
people do.
trust with someone that you're going
That's
to
why
fuck.
we hate you so much at sex
Just don't talk.
in a kinky way.
Well, it's like I
Like,
say
you're
though,
horrible.
Jacques, that people like to be, when they go through casual encounters, when they want to make a connection, they're going to have their American romance, but eventually you're
These
going
are all
to,
Shameless.
and
These are all
then
titles of
eventually
films.
you're going to have a real problem. You're going to have an anti-birth. So then you're really screwed.
Or things get really bad, and you read
These are all
through their
titles
murder
of-
diaries.
Yeah, the murder diaries.
The
The murder diaries,
kill a
yeah.
bunch of people.
It's true.
Yeah.
Funny how many movie
Relationships in
titles I'm
general,
making
I
that are
just
all-
don't think are easy.
Even casual ones. apparently.
Even casual ones, because you
I like
have
the
to
murder
find
diaries, yeah.
some sort of commonality in your freedom of thinking, or your conservative of thinking, or your
So
Well,
you
I
just-
think
so you
I
just
think
did it
there's
out?
I think those those
Well,
women.
here's the thing, though. I think that women are a lot easier with doing without,
Yes.
for the most part,
Yes.
because at a certain point you just sort of shut off and go, okay, sex isn't something that I need. I'm looking for something deeper, and then you just wait for that.
Right.
Because I will have good sex when I find something deeper than that.
Right.
And then there are other people, mostly men, but I'm generalizing, where you guys just are like, let me just fucking put it in something, and that's okay too.
And if
Right.
we're
But
not,
that's
we're
what
But you
Jackie
also
said
you're
you
you're
guys need.
you're well, I was just gonna say you're also like kind of skipping, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I mean, we have other ways to satisfy ourselves without actually having a man there. It's not as good
I
as
just
having a
said,
man.
so do we.
But but it's like there are other ways to get you through.
Does it start with an M?
But I think in general, and again,
It's all you just shut it off.
No, it's stereotyping
completely.
in every way, but I think girls are always looking for something deeper than men
in general.
in general, but that doesn't mean we're always looking to fall in love. It just means that we're looking for something more interesting than I just need to get it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the connection. I mean, it really comes down to that. Like, I have to have some type of connection with someone to actually get to that point. I'm just, I wish, I listen to people openly because I wish I was the type of person that could just have fun and just go out and sleep with all these different kinds of people. It's just not who I am. I have to have some kind of other connection with them. It can't just be, hey, let's have this point. Having said that, am I perfect? No. Have I had my weaker moments, what I call my weaker moments? But, like times where I'm like, you know what, this is just right time, right place, whatever. But for the most part, it's really about that connection on that level for me, too. It just has to be that right person. Even if it's a friendship and you have a connection and you're both okay with a casual
I think guys
situation.
are kind of that way too. I mean, there are the guys who are just like, whatever, like it's a hole, let's do something with it. But I think
Why
there's
waste a hole?
Why waste a hole? I can fit in there. I think there's a lot of guys, and I don't know, I'm not going to speak for Roger, but I feel like Ryan's that way too. Even though he's an open advocate and everything, he needs to feel some excitement, and that isn't just physical. It's like when I first came to LA, I worked at this bar, and it was like a high volume bar club, and I was 20 years old. I lied and said I was 21. And there's all these beautiful women just coming all the time. Coming
Coming in.
coming all the time. And when I first started working there, I was like, yeah, I hit the jackpot. But after a while, you're like, yeah, what do you want? Hurry up, what do you want? Order, like. And then every 400 girl that would come in, I would just like a thunderbolt. Oh my god, like this girl is amazing. And I don't know why that was the case, but I needed it. I couldn't just grab whatever pretty girl was drunk on the bar. Like I had to feel like, all right, there's
Something special.
Well, guys
you're
have that.
absolutely right. I mean, like for how much I work, when I want to blow off steam, it's not go to the club. I'm not a club guy. Okay, that's not my MO at all. It never has been. I mean, honestly, as cheesy as this sounds, what would be really, really great is somebody who's equally as busy as me. And when we do have our downtime, it's a very special time because we don't get a lot of it. And for me, it'd be like taking my boat with that person out to Catalina for the weekend and then coming back. Like really just cram, action-packed, and not in just a sexual way. I'm just like, actually have some quality time because sometimes it can be 2 weeks before I get a day off. So it would be nice to actually have a connection. I'm not going to go fuel up my boat and take somebody to Catalina when all I want to do is fuck. That is just not. I am not.
You can do that in prison.
I'm not going to pull up the stops if that's what my intention is. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it'd be nice to make a connection with somebody like that.
But see, in your case, where you're talking about, the hundreds and whatever thousands of beautiful women that you could just choose from. I mean, guys still, I think, have that predatorial instinct where it's kind of like nice to have a little bit of a challenge. So when you talk about connection, I think maybe, I think you still have to have a little bit of that, some beautiful girl laying down the bar. I mean, the joke is, you wouldn't pass it up. But at the same time, obviously, if you have your choice of women, you're going to choose someone who you think is going to be a little more challenging, maybe intellectually or whatever your thing is. Whatever you want that connection to be on whatever level. But
and I'll be honest, like the thunderbolt I would get every once in a while, it wasn't necessarily the hottest babe in the place. It was whoever, just whatever. I just
the pheromone thing.
And often it was just a look. Like they'd walk up to the bar, and I would just go, whoa, and again, it'd be like every 400 girl, yeah. And I couldn't even put my finger on what it was because again, it wasn't like the most
an odd size.
amazing person.
That's not a normal size. Is that your computer?
I needed to feel that.
Hey.
Now a bit. I went along. I was never in a relationship during that time, so there would be after 4 months, the thunderbolt could strike pretty easily.
Right.
Well, it's been 4 months. That girl's amazing.
I need a thunderbolt.
So
that's funny.
There's that.
Yeah.
Hey, where's
This particular computer is about to run out of juice.
I know. So.
What time? Well, we're almost to the end here.
Yeah.
11:52. How about
I
that?
think it'll make it to the.
Is this where Carrie shows her booty? I remember last time you guys were trying to fill the space. You're like, Carrie, dance for them.
Oh, really? No, it just went out.
It was really
the light's still on though.
She's gone.
He totally pimped you out.
For real? You came back.
Are we in trouble?
No. Yes. Yes, you are.
Dad's home.
Yeah, right.
Well,
That's interesting.
oh,
It's so funny because it reminds me of the first time I went to a nude beach. We were talking about nude beaches, and I was so, button up, whatever. My boyfriend took me there. And it was I was so freaked out. And I remember I went over, I'm trying to think it was in San Diego
Flax.
or
Flax.
yeah, you're right. It is Flax Beach, yeah. And I
I lived there
know
every
where it
weekend.
is.
I
Oh,
lived in San Diego
okay.
for 5
Oh,
years.
no
I
wonder.
lived
There
every
you go. There you go. Yeah, but I had a boyfriend that didn't even live out here, came out here and took me there. But anyway, but it was funny because, I was looking for these, sort of weeds to hide in, whatever, things like that. And then, and then you're there for a while and you're like, this is really no big deal. You know what I mean? That was before all our classes. By that time I had already evolved a little bit. But I was just thinking to myself, it's so silly how how it's such a big deal in the U.S. If you go to Europe, it's like not even an issue.
Families will
you know.
sauna together.
Right, exactly. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. So that was me stretching myself to go further.
And do you think you're a better person for it?
Oh yeah, I'm real happy about that and a lot of it was, interestingly enough, I'm adopted, and my adopted parents were extremely strict, and I'm sure a lot of that repression was from that situation. As I got older, there was all kinds of reasons why I no longer have that relationship with them. But I know my real mother, very open-minded and very, just very open-minded, and had been in an open relationship in the past, and she's just more evolved, a lot more evolved, and it really helped me see who I really was, because I never really totally felt, like that was the right match, for me. But my other parents, I always felt kind of like that repressiveness or whatever. But yeah, when you start, kind of stretching yourself a little bit, and and then when she came into my life, it was like, wow, she's pretty supportive of anything I do, pretty much, and she's very open-minded and did women's studies and open relationships and all that stuff. She's done it all. But at the end of the day, she's with the same man. That's just her choice or whatever. Yeah. But this boyfriend was into that, and I thought it was just fascinating. I was like, wow, it's so funny how I was brought up to be made like this is such a big deal, and it's like really no big deal. And actually, I was the best looking one on the beach, which I would never imagine in a million years. So I was like, oh, what the hell, whatever. And finally went in the water and didn't think anything of it. But because those people it didn't matter what they looked like. They were all just comfortable with who they were.
Absolutely, for sure.
So
just wear a towel when you're eating on a picnic table.
Right.
Yeah, very interesting.
I have, again, back to the youngsters. Get various perspectives. We had a lot of, mature people today.
Speak for yourself.
Too, but older. Have you experienced sort of a, not swinger party, but have you been in sort of a crazy?
My last relationship was a weird poly relationship. So I've been in a lot of.
What was that? Do you mind talking about?
Let's talk about it a little bit. I lived with this guy, and then he moved in this other girl, and it was just the three of us living together, and her and I trying to have a relationship. Pretty much. And yeah, there was three of us, and then a huge dog, and a cat, and a one-bedroom apartment. It was a comedy show. Yeah. And then it just turned into a drama fest in the very beginning, because he was the core of it all, and he was working full time. We were both working, she wasn't working for the start of it, and I do what I do, so half the time I'm on the road and half the time I'm home. So we were together a lot, and he wasn't there at all, and we didn't know each other, and it was a disaster. And
you guys didn't click?
On some levels, yes, but not really.
Was there hate fucking?
Yes.
So how old?
So it wasn't Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
I like that movie.
Yeah, the ultimate man's wet dream, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To have
How old was she?
Penelope Cruz and Scarlett Johansson at the same time.
Oh, wow.
An old man's fantasy.
Yeah,
Woody
right.
Allen,
Or a young man's
And how old was
fantasy
he?
too.
He's a year older. We're all within
So
a
you're all
years.
the same age.
Yeah.
Okay. But you had a sexual relationship, but you didn't click.
Well, we did in the beginning,
Okay.
and then things got weird, and then things kind of went down, and we stopped.
What do you think got weird? What was weird? What became weird?
Jealous issues?
Over him? Competition? Or other jealousy?
Maybe the two girls hit it off better. Maybe he was jealous.
Well, a lot of it, I think, was lifestyle issues. She would make comments about how I would do nothing, because she would. Eventually, she did get a job, and she was working as a barista. She was working all the time, and I would come home after a weekend and make what she it would take her 3 weeks to make. And so I think a lot of it was just I had things that she didn't have, and then we had to share this guy, so we were sharing time, and it was just an escalation of all this stuff.
He didn't play guitar, did he?
Yeah.
No, he was a
Do
magician.
some folk songs.
So guys,
No.
Professional liar.
I meant
Jack, you have 1 minute.
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good. So, So it fell apart because he
I think at the end of the day, it fell apart because of communication issues
between everybody.
between everybody, and then little bits of narcissism between everybody.
That can be a problem.
It just it wasn't organized right. It's like poly relationships could work.
Formal union.
Yeah.
That's right.
But she and I we were just like living together out of blue. We never got a chance to get to know each other. We never got a chance to see if the chemistry was there, or if we could like each other like that. We just kind of forced it, and it worked for a while, and it seemed like it was false. It was for the sake of making this other guy
Was that the
happy.
first time you've been with a woman?
No.
Do you date women or men equally, or?
I'm like kind of open to no matter what, but I generally prefer men. But I've met women that I do like enough to explore
Representing from the IE over here.
that.
Come on. I lived in Altaloma back before it was Rancho Cucamonga for a couple of years.
Well, Altaloma.
Right there at Chaffee College.
Well, it's kind
Rancho
of all the
Cucamonga
same.
is a better name.
Altaloma is where
And
it
Roger,
is.
you are not
Like
the
that's
father.
the high school.
He is.
It was all the same area.
And you've been in just straight up regular relationships.
Yeah, no, I'm not as excited as
You are.
you. I wish.
You get stuff.
And you date men
Yeah.
mostly.
Yeah, I'd say I'm an upstairs lesbian.
It's an upstairs lesbian.
She
I've
likes
never heard
boobs.
that.
Waist up.
Oh.
I like boobs.
Oh.
You like butts too.
But okay, I'm a
So you played around.
I don't know how to describe that.
She's at this
You
part.
played around,
There you go.
She likes curves.
but you haven't. You haven't.
But women are psychotic. I don't think
This
that
is
I,
true.
I can't say that.
I don't think that I could.
They
I
won't
couldn't
convey
date
that
one
on
of us.
public television.
There go your donations.
Yeah, you're not Tom Likas.
Yeah, right.
What happened to him?
He's still around.
He fell out
I
of
mean, I
favor.
think it's kind of cool the way.
I think he's self-funding
It's-
stuff now. My ex was a huge fan of Tom.
Doing what though? Self-funding doing what?
He does
Radio.
his radio, yeah.
More
Where?
bullshit
Yeah.
out of his house, probably.
What happened? He got fired.
Well, no.
I
98.7 went away.
Oh.
They,
What?
They-
Oh yeah, and they had the whole thing
I think
for
he was
all
his
of the
own
like talk show
thing.
people, so like party and meet, great, whatever.
All right, we're winding down to the end. Gary Keegan has to go to bed. She can't be here
as
all
as
night
do some of us.
alone.
what? Fuck you.
So let's just get some final thoughts here. Let's just go around and get some final
Wait. No,
thoughts.
you have to start the final thoughts.
I'm happy to start the final thoughts. Well,
Okay.
first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming here, hanging out, being part of the webathon. Carrie Keegan for making the space available,
Yay.
and your team
As long as you don't
Your
sit,
partner.
I thank you.
but also all the people who tuned in and all the people that participated,
And all the people that donated.
all
Yay.
the people that donated. Amazing.
Very
Thank
cool.
you so much. I'm $37 richer. No, kidding. Thank you all very much. Many of you, many very generous. And I just think this is an endlessly fascinating topic. Just, relationships and sexuality and, connecting with each other. And it's complicated and simple and confusing and fun and dangerous and painful and all that shit. And it's the stuff that films are made of. So I could just rap about it all night long.
Can you actually rap?
Do it. Do a rap for us, please.
I'm too old for that.
You rap
Come
like I
on.
rap.
A connection
I
rap.
could. If I didn't have a bad knee, I could just break down right now. Just do the whole thing.
That's break dancing. That's not rapping.
No.
Don't even
I
rap.
rap it then.
Then break
I
dance.
rap while I'm breakdancing.
That's talent.
Spoken word? No spoken word?
Spoken word. Remember that spoken word? Thank God that went away.
No.
No, so I had a lot of fun. Even though I was out for 17 hours, no more than that, because I had to drive here.
Hey, I was with you,
Yeah,
buddy.
You were. Did you ever go home and sleep or anything?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't.
Not at all.
No. I haven't even been to the bathroom. I haven't even had I had a full meal when he brought me one.
Please go,
Yeah,
Pete.
Yeah,
right.
right.
When you start ordering your kosher dogs, I'm like, okay, all right.
I'm
here
like
we
a
go.
camel. I don't need to. Anyway, gratitude is my final word of the day, and openness. Gratitude and openness, and that doesn't necessarily mean open relationships. It just means open to
Open
life.
communication.
Open communication,
Yeah.
open to
Understanding.
everything, open to life.
Yeah.
Open to
Understanding.
That shit doesn't make very good drama though.
That's true.
you gotta shut it down.
Kumbaya.
To make it interesting. All right, what do you got to say, Ryan?
Well, let's see. In the words of Jerry Springer,
Yes.
love yourself and others. Good night.
There you go.
Touch yourself and others.
That too.
What he asked me is if I know Ron Jeremy.
Well, you look like one of his entourage. That's why I had to ask.
That's what happened 2 hours ago.
That's what he asked me when I first met
You know what's
him.
weird?
Doesn't
is that,
everyone know Ron
I was
Jeremy
gonna
at
say,
this
what's weird is
point?
that you
I
even
haven't
know
met
him.
him, but I don't know him.
That you even know who he is.
Who doesn't know Ron Jeremy?
I was
I
in a
know.
movie that he
Who
was
doesn't
in.
know who
Yeah,
Ron
right.
Jeremy is? He's like a cult classic.
I know, but they're.
I don't care. It's a cult classic.
15. Wow, now. Hang on.
Yeah, like he's from like 90s was his heyday, right?
No.
80s,
70s.
70s. was his heyday.
70s.
That was back when he could actually reach his own dick.
That's
Yes.
Yes.
See,
Otto.
it's just, you know,
Things have changed over
They don't
the
call him the
years.
hedgehog for
right.
nothing.
That's right. Johnny Autofellatio.
Ooh.
Wow.
Final thoughts on
your turn.
all
My
things.
turn.
Yes.
Oh, I feel like I was here long enough to have final thoughts.
Yeah, you were. You engaged enough. You opened up enough. You said enough.
Well, I'm excited to see your movie. That Kingdom of Fun.
Thank you. I am too.
I'm very interested now that I know what it's about.
I'll send you the script.
Yeah.
Don't mind sharing. It's always good to get female perspective too.
Cool.
It's like, is this working? It's just me being a guy.
What
Roger.
if you being a guy works though?
Thank you.
Hopefully.
Because
Nice.
you being a girl is just fucking
Oh
weird.
You have seen me as a girl.
I can't see you tucking or
Oh my
anything.
God, I look great as a
You
girl.
have amazing
I have a picture
cheekbones.
of me. I have a movie of me as a girl.
Wow. Show that to all of our people.
You,
There we
you
go.
know the film Guess Who Came to Dinner? Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
This is called Guess What
You
Came
mean
to Dinner.
What came-
And instead of a black lawyer, it's a black transvestite.
Wow.
That's what I thought.
Awesome.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Guess who's coming? What would I say? Guess what?
I know, you should guess. I was like, guess what's coming.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
This is like a transgender thing.
Guess what's coming to dinner?
No, that's what my
That's
movie
an
was.
Ice
Guess
Cube
What's Coming.
movie that's coming out in the theaters near you.
All right,
Guess
let's
what's coming to dinner?
All this. Go ahead, Roger.
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody for being here tonight. It was just a really wonderful time. I got a buddy named Jacques talking about sex, talking shit about his ex and everything else. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing you, man. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to sit there and tell me about 35 summers left? Is that all you have? You wake up one day and you realize, Jesus, all I got is 35 summers. You
He's
know what
got
I mean?
500 days
Yes,
of
that.
summer coming up.
Anyway, so we're going to make this fucking movie. We're going to do this probably in a couple months. I'm feeling pretty jacked about it. This whole donate kind of little expedition that we went on today was more for fun, in my opinion. Got some serious moves that we're making, I do believe. And I think once this film is made, I think it's a serious enough film. We're going to hit all the right beats. I really do. I think it's going to hit the Sundances, and it could even go bigger than that. And believe me, I have faith in it. It's time for Jacques to pop. He's waited too fucking long, too goddamn long, farting around, fucking around, and bullshit. I think
Bartending.
yes, I know.
We've been waiting for
I've been
Jacques
waiting
to
for
pop.
this motherfucker
know,
to get a
right?
goddamn film done, and
Dirty
I'm just
motherfucker.
glad that I am part of the driving wheel to get this thing going, and I'm honored and humbled to be his friend.
Aww.
Now you gonna make me cry and everything.
Right on, brother.
Take the cap up.
All right, final thoughts, Laura, Rob.
I just want to say that I am so honored as well to be part of this little hoopla and hoping to help as well with funding. And I just want to give back to Jacques for all that he's given all the other filmmakers over the years. I mean, he's really where I learned everything, and
About
started.
and started my whole venture down that road of filmmaking. And I just want to thank him, and I want to be able to give back for all that he's given to others. So.
Thank you. Very nice.
Aww.
All right, Carrie Keegan, wrap it up. Point it at yourself.
All right, I'm drinking Jameson. I've had a lot throughout the evening, and I've learned
She's
a lot
not wearing
about.
pants.
I'm not wearing pants anymore.
No longer in
It's No Pants Wednesday. I have learned a lot about open relationships. I have learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about these 6 people that are here this evening.
I didn't tell you shit.
That's true.
I'll give you the
You
web
tell me
address for
shit.
that.
However, I do believe that this is the correct film to be making at the correct time. And I hope that you all will support it. Because as I learned from Jacques a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that independent film is actually dependent film.
Well,
And
that's
it
right.
depends on all of you people to love it and support it.
Viewers
and
like you.
fund it and mostly love it.
And diapers.
And diapers. It's dependent films. So
Yay!
thank you all for tuning in. Jacques, thank you for making a movie. Because
Thank
you need
Carrie
to.
Keegan.
Mwah.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.